Let's talk about what Cassie will talk about, what she absolutely adores. And
Yeah.
this is what it is, folks. The Conjuring series.
Yay! My favorite movies. I feel like I almost missed an opportunity because you just said talking about things people hate, and I was like, man, people would have been mad if I talked about Twilight. That would have been funny. But I do.
I'm glad you didn't do that. That would have been too painful for a lot of chat. That could have been too
but,
painful.
but I do love the Conjuring series. It's my favorite. My favorite movie series. I love. You have expected Twilight. See, I knew people would expect that. But
Yeah.
this is something I do genuinely love, and I feel like a lot of people, if they like horror movies, they like this as well.
Yeah,
So,
I'm glad you chose one. This is a good, nice balance, and pretty well-respected horror series. So talk about it. How
yeah.
did you first
I
discover
love
it?
it.
And how did you fall in love with
Oh,
it? Walk us through it.
yeah, so I used to hate horror movies. I refused to watch them when I was younger.
Okay.
But I got a bad case of FOMO when my cousins were going to see Paranormal Activity in theaters. So then I started
Oh.
watching horror movies. I watched like 3 in one day to catch up and watch the third one in theaters.
Okay.
So then I started liking horror movies. But the first one, the first one that came out was The Conjuring. These ones on screen are in like chronological order of like how the story takes place.
Sure.
But the Conjuring was the first one to come out, and so I watched that one first, and I saw it, and I was just like, wow, that was like just a good horror movie. Like it was, I enjoyed it so much. But in chronological order, it starts like this. Oh, it does have the date on it. That's cool. There's actually one more, but that one like just came out, so it's not on there.
Right.
But The Nun was first, and so that one is about so actually I have to say first. Sorry, I'm like all over the place.
Oh, don't worry about it. And hold on one second,
Um,
Cassie. I'm just gonna stop you real quick. I just gotta say real quick.
Yeah.
Type Rune. Thank you for the follow. All right, go on, Cassie.
Yeah. So these all don't follow the same exact story. It's all just like the same. They're all connected in
Same
some way.
universe, right? In the same
Yeah.
same continuity.
Yeah. So the oldest one that takes place a long time ago was The Nun, and so that one is about
Okay.
a nun in Romania took her own life, so the Vatican sends people to go investigate it, and they run into some trouble. You can probably imagine what that is from the cover. It's her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty obvious. Go on.
Yeah, pretty obvious. And then the next one is about Annabelle, and Annabelle is actually a real doll. She looks different. She's actually a Raggedy Ann doll, the real one. But that's about how she came to be. It's about a couple that their daughter had died, and then they took in some orphan girls, and they found the doll, and then crazy stuff happens.
Wow.
And then it jumps forward to the next story of Annabelle, which is when a husband gifted him to her, his pregnant wife, and then some. This is not spoilers. This is all the first few minutes of the story.
Yeah.
It's the premise of the thing. But some cultists broke into their house, and blood drips off of the doll. And then, again, hunting stuff happens.
Like any good horror film.
But yeah, so it's cool to get like the backstory of Annabelle because you first see her in The Conjuring, the original Conjuring movie, but it's very brief. They just use it to introduce Ed and Lorraine Warren, who is a real couple, paranormal investigator people. I'll talk about them a little bit later.
Yeah.
But yeah, you first see it in the Conjuring movie. But the Conjuring itself is about Ed and Lorraine Warren getting called to a house. It's a family with 5 girls, I think, and they like
Okay.
moved into a farmhouse with like a really deep history, but they don't know about it. And
Oh.
and so like they start noticing paranormal stuff, and they ask them to help, and it's about them
Okay.
trying to help them through that. Yeah.
I was like little girls or no, like teenagers and adults.
Yeah, so it's a young couple. They have five girls, and they're all pretty young.
Oh, right, young couple of 5. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. The next one, The Curse of La Llorona, is sort of. It's very, very, very loosely related to the rest of them. Like the only indication that it's the same universe is that it shows like the same priest as the Annabelle movie, and also like briefly shows the Annabelle doll. And so like you just watch it and you think it's a normal horror movie that like just the creators of
Sure.
Annabelle and stuff made it, and then you see Annabelle and you're like, oh wait, same universe, I guess. But yeah, that one's just
you
about.
said that's about La Llorona, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
to those who don't know who La Llorona is, it's an old story, but I mean it's kind of one of those stories that like it depends who you hear it from exactly what like it is,
Mm-hmm.
but it all has the same general idea that it's like a lady who had like her children died, or the way I heard it was that she like drowned her kids and then like regretted it,
Oh,
and then
okay.
she will snatch children if they get too close to the water, or if they like see her and like hear her, you'll hear her crying. So it's about that. That's like the premise of it. Yeah, it's
Gotcha.
spooky stuff. Spooky stuff.
Nice. Let's keep running. Hold on one second, Cassie. Let's take this moment to acknowledge the chat for a bit.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Some folks nearly thought it would be Twilight. Bachan says, "What's your favorite horror movie?" Bachan answers, "Me, Bambi." Bachan's a sheep VTuber, so that's the joke.
Ah.
Sumio said, "Fun fact: Bambi got a sequel 62 years after its first movie." Withered says, in response to Sumio, "So there is hope for Blue Exorcist season 3." Usuki says, "I think Annabelle is my fave because it's based on a real haunted doll." Ah, okay, Usu, understood. Bachan says, "Well, now I know what I'm going to do do on Halloween," in response to the 62 years later. And Sumio thinks the Bambi being scary is hilarious. Sumio also says, "Did Caci just spoil most of the Conjuring movies?" No, just the premises.
No, this is all the stuff you find out in like the very very beginning of the. It's like in the description of the movie basically. There's no spoilers in it.
Right, and then Typerune. Oh yeah, Typerune. I get it. So Rune says Cassie likes none and spook, and she did. Only a little bit, Rune. Not too much. Just the premises. The premises. Queen Haiku, welcome to the show. Look at our lovely guest right here, Caci VULPECULA. So we're celebrating the Conjuring series currently. Jose said, "Cassie, just save the ones that fear movies from watching these." Ueno-san says, "What about the movie, The Thing?" Oh, that's another good one too, but we're talking about the Conjuring here. Indeed, indeed, on the cash, something gets conjured in The Conjuring. Indeed, yes, you spoiled the biggest one of all. That's okay though. I appreciate. I don't know. Anyway, okay, Cassie, back to you talking about them in order. The Conjuring is next.
Yeah. Yes. Or we just did La Llorona. So the next one,
yes.
is Annabelle Comes Home, and this one, oh my gosh, I loved the trailer for this one. So it's about Ed and Lorraine Warren, who are the paranormal investigators you see in the other movies. And it's about them. So basically, whenever they investigate something, they will take that cursed item, and they have a special room in their house that they lock it up and like bless it, and don't touch it. They just like lock it up to keep it safe.
Mm-hmm.
But they go away on a trip, and they get a babysitter, and her babysitter invites over her stupid friends, who decides to make her way into the room. And oh my gosh, in the trailer, like it shows them all scared, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what did you do? What did you do?" And she was like, "I went into the room." And then the little girl, she knows what's up. She knows her house is full of cursed objects, and she's like, "What did you touch?" And she goes, "Everything." And you're like,
"Oh
no!
gosh."
So yeah, she touched everything, and that's just how it starts. And then actually second to last one, because there's one more that it shows on here. The next one in chronological order is The Conjuring 2. And that's that one takes place in London, where they meet a mother of 4, and she says that there's something evil in her house, and that her daughter's showing signs of demonic possession. So they're trying to figure out what's up with that. It's also tricky because like they don't typically do like exorcisms and stuff like in the more recent years, and so they're like, we can't do that, and they're like, what if she needs it? And it's like crazy thing.
They're drawn back in.
The last one's not pictured here. It just came out just in the last month or two, I think.
What's it called?
And it's called The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It.
Okay.
And it is about.
Where is it chronologically?
It's the very last one, so right after Conjuring 2.
Okay, delightful.
And so that one is about Ed and Lorraine Warren had like handled the case of a little boy before. And I'll skip over the rest because kind of spoiler stuff. But basically, the premise of it is. There's a man, and he's pleading not guilty to murder due to demonic possession, and it's about like what happened with him, and it's crazy. You watch the trailer, and they have this really cool quote, and I quote it all the time. But in the trailer, they're talking about like they say like they're in the courtroom, and they're like he's pleading not guilty due to demonic possession. Like, is that even okay? And they're like, what the heck? We've never heard this before. And then they say like whenever people come in the courtroom, they place their hand on the Bible and they acknowledge God, and they're like, it's time we acknowledge the devil too. And it was like, whoa, it was so spooky. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting because I like paranormal stuff, and I also like both. And I like it a lot. Yeah.
Delightful.
Yeah.
Shall we take this time to acknowledge the chat? Let's take this time to acknowledge the chat a little bit before we get back to more of Cassie's praising of the Conjuring series. Let's see here. These hilarious spoilers they're giving away, like Typerune says there are ghosts in them. Botchan trying to say there are no spoilers allowed. Withered quoting something. Ah, yes, the floor here is made out of floor. Usu says, spoiler, they all have ED and Lorraine in them too. Haiku says, so, talking horror movies, eh? Yes, indeed. BH2i5 says, never trust the babysitters. Understood, of course. Unless it's, Laurie Strode from Halloween. She did a good job. Bachan says, by the way, do you think Yorona, the weeping woman, is a banshee? I was thinking on this the other day, and it kind of makes me sense. I don't know. Kind of makes sense. I don't know. Sumio says, so which... Oh, cool. So that makes sense to you. It didn't make sense to me, but okay. Sumio says, which of these does Caci recommend most? We'll get to that after acknowledging the chat. Queen Haiku says she admires people who can sit through horror movies because she has a sensitive stomach, so she can't watch horror. Withered says, sorry, Jeep, but I'm getting tired and have class in the morning. Stay cool and stay sharp, my friend. You too, Withered. Take care, my friend, and rest up and stick to those studies, young man. Take care. Thank you, Withered. Thank you for being such a wonderful mod. And Sumio says, good night, samurai. Okay, Cassie, which one would you recommend the most for people to start with? The beginning, or which would you think? What do you recommend?
I would say The Conjuring, just because that was my first one. It was the first one that came out, and it kind of really gets you sucked in to the universe. I feel like it's cool to. It's a cool one to start with, and then you can go back, if you really like it, and watch them all in chronological order if you want to. I did that with my chat about a month or two ago, and it's really cool. Yeah, watch them all in the order that they take place.
Cool.
But yeah, The Conjuring, the original The Conjuring, 2013 is a really good one. That's the one that got me started. So
I got you. So that's the one you will kick it off with.
Yeah.
You hear that, folks? And I heard good things about that one. The BNI actually showed some interest in it. So. And Queen Haiku says, in The Conjuring based on a true story. Yes, Cassie, we get to that about the two real life ghost folk. The ghost detectives. Talk about them. What you know about it.
Yeah. So it's the main people in it are Ed and Lorraine Warren. They're a real couple that go around and help people with paranormal things. They passed away the last couple of years. But it is based off of them, and there's it does cover real cases, and it'll actually at the end of the movie show pictures from the real cases and stuff. And it's really cool. But yeah, they actually do have that room in their house. It's closed now since they've both passed away, but they had it was called the Warrens Occult Museum in Monroe, Connecticut, and you could actually see the room and full of stuff with the Annabelle doll in it. Who she doesn't look as spooky as that. She just looks like a normal Raggedy Ann doll. But I think that almost makes her kind of creepier because it's you wouldn't think it's haunted, but it was.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well,
so yeah, they're real people.
So
yeah, that's it. That's what I got. It's really cool. If you like horror movies, you should definitely check it out.
Nice.
It's my favorite horror movies.
And again, I forgot. I'm sorry if I forgot. Which one was your favorite? If you have one.
I think I'm most attached to The Conjuring.
The first one.
That would be my favorite.
The very
one.
original.
Yeah, but they are. The whole series itself is good.
Nice. So that's her favorite. She also recommends you check that out first to get drawn to the universe. The original Conjuring, which was released in 2013, made a shit ton of money too. I remember that, which was surprising because it's an R-rated horror film, and R-rated films have a hard time making money because, well, less people can see them. It just makes sense. So, in general, what do you think is the big draw for you for this series? Other than the horror, the excitement, the true story, is there any one particular thing that why you got just stuck with this, why it stands out to you? You ran us through them, but why have you stuck with it? How do they keep it interesting for you?
I don't know. I think it's just... I like horror movies already, but it's just knowing that it's based off a true story and, that you can, I like it because there's always more. You watch the movies, and then you're I want to, learn about this case, and you can, dig into, what actually happened and, the real people involved. And also, they just, it's very well done. And in most of the movies, they aren't, overly trying to scare you. They don't do anything, cheap for the most part. They keep it very, they really build up the suspense and stuff. It's not just, always cheap jump scares and stuff. And you get really invested in the story and the characters. You get so attached to Ed and Lorraine. Just because you spend so much time with them in the horror movies. You're watching them do all this stuff. And so it's just really cool. It's really cool to watch. I like it a lot.
Awesome. Well, folks, give it up for the Conjuring Series. Thank you, Conjuring Series, for providing this little fox girl some very good entertainment, as well as enthralling her in this awesome universe. So... Thank you, Conjuring Series. Thank you, Conjuring Series. Haiku says, interesting. If it's based on a true story, perhaps I could stand to watch it. Something similar to a show like Ghost Adventures. Ah, I see. Delightful. So, thank you, Cassie, for talking your love of the Conjuring Series. And thank you so much. It actually sounds pretty cool, I'll be honest. Yeah, you might have sold me on checking it out quite possibly with the B.
Yay!
So, yeah, I'm not gonna lie.